वेदोदधिं समुन्मथ्य ज्ञानरत्नं समुद्रितं येन तस्मै वसिष्ठाय गुरवे नमः। वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय। सद्गुरु भगवान की जय। सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय। शब्द ब्रह्म की जय। सरस्वती महारानी की जय। जोग वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय। हरि ओम। We are discussing Yoga Vasistha Nirvana Prakaran, the last part and the first half of last part. And in that 53rd chapter, and we were discussing yesterday on ego, how to give up ego. And also we have to see what happens by association. And what is ought to be known and what is known, after which nothing remains to be known anymore. All these we shall discuss in this chapter, and it is within the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Vasistha ji explained to Ram, "O Ram, in future, sometime there will be incarnation of Lord Vishnu in the form of Lord Krishna, and you will have his friend in the form of human being, Nar, as Arjuna, and in the midst of Mahabharata warfare, Lord Krishna will explain everything about the soul and the reality of the inner self, and how this self is immortal and it cannot be killed, it cannot be destroyed by any weapons or by anyone, nor by fire, nor wind, nor water can harm it. And this is the eternal self, so don't be a fool to say that I am going to kill my kith and kins, and the fellows who are not able to understand by warfare what happens to the society, and the law and order gets ruined. So I am not going to be a cause for this great war. I am not going to fight. when Arjuna said this with logic of social customs and traditions and laws and order, so Lord Krishna laughs at him and explains to him the nature of the self, which is immortal, eternal, self-effulgent. It cannot be harmed by anyone by any means. So, Lord Krishna gives the essence of Gita. Gita is the essence of all the scriptures, and scriptures means the perfect rules and regulations which leads you by practicing, which leads you to a happy and ideal life. So Lord Krishna says, भगवान कृष्ण ने कहा है अर्जुन, यथा तुम जन्म मरणादि इच्छा करें उर्मियों से निर्मुक्त हो, अतएव नित्य हो और अपने भाई बंधुओं तथा संपूर्ण रूपों के स्वयं साक्षात आत्मरूप हो, अतः तुम किसी को मारने वाले नहीं हो, मैं हनन करने वाला हूँ। इस प्रकार के अभिमान को भगवान की छोड़ दो। We have seen, one should not forget, Gita teaches many things of course, but the essence of all these teachings is renunciation. And renunciation of what? That is given in Gita. What you have to renounce. And by renunciation, one gets eternal peace, happiness, bliss. Then and there. The moment you renounce, you are in peace. And as long as you catch hold of anything, that means objects that is demanded as mine, claimed as mine, or I, me or mine. So these two are the cause for all our ignorance, and ignorance is the root cause for the miseries of the world. Miseries is we are tied up as it were with the body and physical body, and that is how, and that is why we have all these worldly relationships which is related with the body only, and that idea that I am the body, all our relationships are due to this idea, and these relationships lead us to a network of bondage. Wherever we go, we are bound to something or someone or somehow or other. So, Gita teaches us the way to get out of it, and that is the best means is to give up. Give up what? This is what you have to give up. First of all, attachment. Attachment with yours. Yours means whatever you think it belongs to you. Your relations, your possessions, your useful objects, whatever you like to use or you generally use, In that way, your world is a network for you to tie off. It never allows you to get out of it. That is what is called bondage. So renunciation, that means renouncing the attachment and mindness, I-ness, thereby doership and relationships which are the cause for bondage and miseries. You will attain eternal peace. Lord Krishna says, O Arjuna, claiming I am the killer or I am the person killed, it is only foolishness. You are the self of all the selves. You are the eternal self. Don't mistake this body to be the self. And this body, of course, can be killed, but not the self. Self is imperishable. And this type of foolishness is due to ego, self-centered ego. Self-centered means both way. It is one side, ego is raised from the, originated from the reality. When the reality is forgotten or overlooked somehow or other, then ego becomes one with other things. The objects which are not there somehow or other, and then the ego becomes the cause for all these attachment, relationships and bondage, and which are due to ignorance and cause for all the miseries. In this way, ego comes first, and ego is forgetfulness of the reality, the self, and identifying with something else. So the question comes, if the self is eternal, all-pervading, and the reality which is ever existing, everywhere present, and it is the absolute knowledge, absolute potentiality, absolute presence everywhere. So that otherwise also means it is oneness only. It can be only one. There cannot be two. So how can this ego appear as a second one? Where is the second one where ego identifies itself as the second one? So for that we have so many examples. And he says, Lord Krishna says, O Arjuna, you are devoid of all these 6 types of imbalanced states which are cause for this misunderstanding. What are they? They are the sense of birth. I have taken birth. That means you have a form. birth and death. Birth means appearance in a form, some solid form, which is sensible by senses, by the five senses of knowledge. It can be perceived. That is called manifestation, appearance, or it is formation. Anyway, any word you can use for it. So it is first of all the janma, birth. Birth means taking a form, and sthiti, that form will exist for some time. The moment a child is born, whether it is human child or animal or birds or insects or any being, when it appears as a being, that means there will be limitations and it will have some form, it will have some demarcating lines, that means limitation, and it will be visible. Visible to whom? To the senses, five senses of knowledge. This is how a being has become. Become means formed. So, if we see it from the other angle of vision, the subtle objects we are unable to see. Abstract objects, we don't see it by our senses. So when the subtle becomes gross, then it is perceived by the senses. So what happens? Invisible means, of course, existence is there, but it is not visible to the senses. So if that invisible, subtle something,
इधर आइए इसको नीचे बैठने की तकलीफ है
there Swamiji sits and meets here in this. So we are using satsang now. So what happens when the invisible object is repeated again and again? It becomes visible. What is the meaning of repetition? Repetition means occurrence. That means both way. If the senses want to see the invisible object again and again, that is also the meaning of repetition. And that is what we do by doing japa. By continuous repetition of Lord's name, the name gets able to form a form, and that form will be according to the structure of the name, the sound. And we know the whole world is nothing but sound. Sound means a vibration. Vibration means spandan, we say. Vibration means imbalanced state on the balanced state. So, from this angle we can understand how invisible becomes visible. And what is the meaning of repetition? If the same vibration occurs again and again, slowly it becomes visible by having solidity. That invisibility is nothing but subtleness. And that is what we are discussing. 6 urmi. Urmi means nothing but very, very small ripples. Ripples are little for the small form of the waves, nothing else. Waves are nothing but vibrations on the superficial water. Whether it is superficial or inner water, doesn't matter. But vibrations, that is called waves. And these waves are nothing but imbalanced state of the balanced state. So this is how the world becomes visible to us, becomes perceivable by the senses of knowledge, 5 senses, and this is how this world is visible to us, and with names and forms. Only it has got names and forms. How the names means the sound, which is again vibration, which is the primordial vibration, the starting. So they are called ripples also. And these 6 types of ripples, which are cause for the miseries of the life, which every being has to have. Without that there is no life, so-called life. Of course the eternal life is without all this. But this worldly relative life, which is subject to change, is not possible without all these 6 types of imbalanced states. These are called 6 urmis, ripples. And these are, the first is birth. Birth means formation. Formation means appearance of something which was not appeared before. That means it is visible to the senses, perceivable to the senses. So this is called birth. And then Janma, Sthiti, it has to remain for some time. But that remaining for some time means existence for some time, which has been visible. It gets visible to our senses, but with interruptions only. It is not continuous. It is not without differences. How sthiti means existence. But here the existence of this body for some time, we say our lifetime, the period of our life, one gets birth, and after some time this body decays, decomposes, and this body becomes again invisible. It has been formed by the five elements, basic elements. They are the sky, the ether, and the same ether becomes air. Air becomes fire, and fire also becomes water, and then the solid water is known as earth, nothing else. In this way, these five elements, which is basically one ether or space, and this space also is known as time because of changes, and because of these type of occurrences in the absolute balance state, this world becomes visible. World means again same names and parts. So this starts from imbalanced state, that is vibration, that is known as sound. We have named it sound. Call it as you like. It is only waves. Imbalanced state in the balanced state. So, according to some modern scientists, they name it as Big Bang theory, but our old scientists, the great seers, the old Indian scientists who spent their lives and did research on it to know how is this world. They have given us these secrets. They have named it sound. Call it as you like. Sound also is a sound. It is a vibratory process, nothing else. So this sound also in our relative day-to-day life we use as different many ways. This sound is known as energy, which is named in different names. Electricity, magnetism, or you see what you call light also, and many other names. Name it as you like. But you should understand what is the real happening. Analytically, one should understand. So, names are not of much importance. We have so many names for one object, and that those names are given according to its qualities. Its quality means the qualities of the object. When it is seen from some angle by someone, seen means perceived by his senses, from some angle, that angle sees it in a particular way, and that's how it sees its qualities, accordingly it names it. So names are not really so important, and forms are also not so important, because forms are known by the name, and any form is nothing but a limiting area of unlimitedness. That is called formation or that becomes something as per its names or usefulness or qualities. So this is how the forms are known, and formation happens in this way, and this has become so, it is called being. In this way, these objects are there in this visible world, and we have named it for our day-to-day relative transactions. Then it becomes easy for our day-to-day life. Day-to-day life depends upon relationships. Every object has some relation with the other around it. So we have to behave with the objects around us, and that we call my world, or we have some relationship with our the so-called evil world, and we name it by some sound. When the sound is formed in a particular way, it becomes a name, it becomes a language. When the sound gets related with the object, then that becomes the name. And that becomes easier for us to relate things in our day-to-day life. This is how these names and forms constitute the visible world. And this is how the world is there for us. So it remains for some time, but remains for some time, exists for some time means it is not without changes, it is with changes. If there is no change, there is no gap between two, then they cannot become two. They are only one. So when one is divided into two, then it becomes visible. One sees the other. Then relationship starts. The law of relativity starts from there onwards. And this is how, if at all we claim this world exists, then it exists with changes only. Because it has got many names, many forms. We cannot say the world is one. And this is from other angle known as time and space. And conditions also. देश काल और परिस्थिति the situations by some conditions. In this way, our existence of the person, body, or the world, both same thing. Janma or sthiti, third is vriddhi. Because of changes, it gets a kind of growth. Growth means you have to understand it from the base, from the depth of the meaning. Growth means nothing but a type of change. A type of change. Without change, nobody can grow. And this growth is very wonderful, very complicated idea to understand. Growth means a type of journey or a type of advancement. In what way, in what direction? If it is perfect growth, then it should be all-round growth. 360 degree to the power 360 to the power infinity. In that way only a perfect growth is known, and that is nothing other than the absolute truth. It is all pervading in all way, in all sense. Or else everything is in particular direction or particular movement or particular, the conditions are there. The truth is only unconditional, and all other beings what are within it, that becomes conditional. Conditional means there is partitions, there is changes, there is growth. When we change one to the other, that is called growth. When the child becomes young, that is called growth. When young becomes old, that is called growth. And the world grows in a cycle. Everything is in a cycle. So it is eternal cycle, unbroken cycle. It is not in one direction. In all directions, but changes with changes. So it is so very complicated to understand what is the world. And this is called Maya. Maya means misunderstanding or ignorance. So ignorance means not knowing the truth, not knowing the reality. And that causes for infinite doubts. If this not, then that may be. If that not, then something else may be. So there is no end to it. That is called absence of the truth or not seeing the truth. That is called ignorance. Ignorance is infinite. So, ignorance is due to time and space, which is cause for divisibility, relativity, and which is again cause for this world. So, it is said, and it is really said, relatively, time and space is ever moving. That is called growth. Yes?
Spiritually speaking,
Pardon?
spiritually speaking, if there is ignorance, is still there a growth?
Ignorance is cause for growth. There is no growth in the truth because it is.
No, but just as a seeker, not like obviously you are not there, but just trying to be
See,
there.
for example, if the boy is absent in the class, again and again I give the same example. If the boy is absent in the class, the student, what happens then? Does it mean he is not at all anywhere?
No.
He is, but not in the class. So if he is not in the class, where will we be? Go on searching for it. There is no end to it. Unless and until the reality is known, till then the ignorance is ever growing.
Okay.
Understood? Unless and until you know the truth, that means knowledge dawns. The reality you know, till then ignorance pervades infinitely, eternally. And you go on searching for the truth. And that's how we are going for mukti, liberation. We are searching for happiness, bliss, which is the aim, object of our life. Everybody is after happiness. We search happiness from names and forms for objects which are subject to change. How can we get happiness? Of course we get, and that is subject to change. So happiness changes means the opposite comes, misery. This is how the world is made up of pairs of opposites. If light is there, darkness should be there. If height is there, lowness will be there. If head is there, tail has to be there. So opposites. This is how the dualistic world is before us. Everywhere, everything has its opposite. And if you can go to the neutral zone, then there is no changes. You can walk on the space. Space walk. That is neutral zone. That's how the satellites communicate with the whole earth, all round earth, at a time, all the time. Because it is high above the dualistic earthly system. And one has to go to the highest neutral zone, that is one where is no two. One within a second. And according to the scientific terms, we always term it. We have a name according to the modern scientists. That is the beyond horizon of events. You are event manager. So the event horizon is till there as far as we go with the dualistic world. And dualistic world means cause and effect. And action and reaction, everything opposite of each other. So this is called event, and this event is up to that horizon where the two are visible. That means change is visible. That means action and reaction, everything pairs of opposites. And beyond that, that is the horizon of events. And beyond that, there is no change. So that, of course, they tell it because of that black hole, and we call our truth as black hole and white hole both together. Black hole and white hole. Mahagarta, the greatest hole, which contains everything within it. Just as the black hole holds everything. Whatever comes near it, it loses its identity. When there is no identity, there is no dualistic so-called world. So it is beyond the horizon of events, and otherwise we name it as absolute singularity. In our philosophical term, we call it Advaita, one without a second. There is no question of second. Second means there will be division, there will be jump, there will be, it cannot remain as 2, it has to become 4 and 16. It will have to go on in a chain reaction. It has to multiply. So this is how our Veda says, I am one, let me be many. When you want to see yourself, you have to see yourself as many only. Because you are absolute one. There is no need of seeing yourself. It is awareness of your existence. So there is no need of any seeing. Seeing means perceiving, means there comes the senses. And so the moment one starts seeing itself, then comes the question of five senses. They are called five matras, unit of measuring the visibility or perception, object, perceivable objects, measuring it, knowing it. So tan matras, the units of the object, they are known as five. When they have some form, they are known as five senses of objects. And that's how the eightfold body is formed in the very beginning, which we know as Puryatak, wherein centered the central cell, that is called the creator. Creator means one starts to become many, that is creation. And he sees himself. This seeing himself has got importance. Himself means it is within himself. It is not outside. So, seeing himself within himself doesn't mean to become two. Here is the complication. If there is no two, then where is the question of measuring the object, tanmatras? They are seeing oneself within itself. Then comes the question of the doubt of one or two. Are there one or two? If there is no two, then who sees whom? It is a type of foolish doubt, stupid doubt.
So can we
Why? Because, okay, come on.
So can we say logically and analytically, if you say that if you have to express ignorance in a value, in a value logically, so can we say that it is nothing but an assumption wherein Max we always say, let's say assume this is that, say x is equal to this. So
Yes, exactly. See, the example is before us. If the boy is not in the class, because the boy is absent in the class, so you have to assume, assumption only. You have to assume whether the boy has gone to the river bank for catching fishes. If not, then you have to assume something else. This is how the declarations of modern scientists change always. The creation theories change time to time. In the beginning, they used to say, these modern scientists, old scientists, they differ from each other. Old scientists used to say, the world is the outcome of nebulas, some gaseous mass, and they go on giving some causes, some rules and regulations for existence of a nebula, a gaseous mass, and then what will be possible there. In that way they go on assuming things because nobody has seen the starting. You are just small children of yesterday, and you go on thinking of your forefathers and great forefathers. How can you know something? You don't know anything. So for that, you have to go to that height of our thought. Height of the thoughts means where thoughts cease to exist. Then only from there you can see the thought process and assumptions and declarations or condemnations, whatever you do. This is may be possible, that is may not be possible. All these are only the work of mind. Mind is always subject to change, and the whole world is subject to change. Every moment, everything is changing. So where is the truth? All these are only assumptions, and this is from another example. Always we see this is possible within itself, without going outside somewhere. There is no outside in the absolute one. Inside and outside is some type of understanding. When there is, it is conditional. If there is some line of demarcation, then something is inside, something is outside. That means this side and that side. No other meaning of inside and other outside is there. So if there is no limitation, no demarcations, then how can you say there will be two or in or out? So if this is absolutely one, why do you say it is absolutely one? Because everything starts from one only. Can you start anything without one? So you have to accept one. If you accept one fully, completely, then there is no possibility of two. One cannot be divided. That one will be present in all other ones. This is a one starts becoming 2, 3, 4, 5. That is also a type of repetition. One is repeated twice, that is called 2. When thrice, it is called 3. It is called a process of repetition. So this is how the world is repeated. And what is that which is repeated? Some assumptions, some ideas, they are repeated. This is how it is solidified. If you go on putting light on the same place again and again, how thick it becomes. It becomes visible to a person like us without specs. So this is how we have to go on assuming the whole world is assumption only, and it is because of no knowledge of the reality. This is absence of the boy in the class. Go on assuming and go on searching. till you search, till you find him. The reality is found. Till then you have to go on assuming, maybe on the playground, maybe in the marketplace, maybe with his friend circle, somewhere, maybe. So these are called assumptions only. We have to assume the world is nothing but a long, continuous assumption. There is no reality in it. We cannot claim anything to be true because everything is subject to change. Can you say nothing changes? Unchanging reality is called real truth. So what happens? When one appears as a two, it is appearance only, it is not becoming real in reality. Just as the one becomes two when you see your face in the mirror, have you become really two? This is just an assumption, a reflection, a shadow, which is not reality, but it looks like the reality. So when we see this world from its innermost starting point, it is nothing but reflection of the truth within itself. Just as a round mirror can reflect within the mirror, and how many reflections you can see? We always go to our lens house. We see ourselves in innumerable forms of the reflections. One is reflected in so many others, and everyone is reflected in every other. So it multiplies. This is how one sees oneself in many forms. It is not in reality which has become many. It is just seeing itself. Just as you amuse when you see your face, how beautiful you looks, isn't it? You look so beautiful. Nobody says I am ugly. That's how the truth looks within itself and amuses. This is called the world. And how beautiful I am. World is, if at all created, if you say this is the creation, then the purpose of the creation is nothing but amusement. For its own amusement, it creates it. When you see your face, how do you feel? Same is the case with the truth. So now we understand somewhat, up to some extent, what is called existence. Both ways. Worldly existence, existence of the body, and existence of the truth. So this is a type of urmi. Urmi means ripple, which is seen in the life. Third is vriddhi. Vriddhi, we were discussing the growth. Growth, it can be in any way. Growth means a change, and change means to give up the past and achieve the future. When we walk, when we grow, when we go ahead, go and grow, same thing. Go and grow. When you give up the dark food, drag it and put ahead, then only you can advance further. That means you have to forget the past, accept the future. This is how time controls everything. Growth means time is there, and one changes into the other, the same thing changes. When you walk ahead, what happens? The time and space changes. You are as you are. So, this is how the time and space controls the whole universe, whole creation. And this is called growth. And this growth is in a cycle, so it is eternal. Of course, body-wise we see the child becomes young, it becomes old, and then it has to disappear, decompose, the composition of the body, and the five elements go to its original place. The body is a composition, just as we compose some tablets of medicines. We compose. In every medicine we have to give our composition formula. So body composition formula is basically five elements. Manaha sasthanidyani prakritisthani karsati. The mind, the idea that universal mind or the individual mind, when it has no solid form, it collects all the ingredients from the five basic elements and it composes the body as an instrument to use it, and then it enters into it. It becomes an abode for the self, and then it gets so much attached, it gets oneness with it, and this is how we are bodied persons, we are prani, we are dehi, we have some sharir, deha, we have some body. Body, don't think is one. Body means a group. The trust body, the body of the association, that means it is a group, a totality. So body means it is a composition of many things. This is how in our chemistry, organic chemistry, how we see how the atoms become molecules. Molecules get attached with other molecules and form some permanent bonds. Then the object becomes visible to us by composition. How many molecules of what mixes with how many molecules of other object, and it composes some forms. That is how the forms are made. Philosophically, we say subtle becomes gross. Scientifically, we can say atoms get together and then they form a form. This is how we name water as H2O. Carbon dioxide, CO2. This is how all these names are given scientifically, chemically, according to its composition. This is how the body also is made. A composition and it has to remain for some time with changes, that is called growth, and then it has to decay, it has to separate. When it has accumulated, then it has to get separated. That is called decomposition. Composition and decomposition. This is how the world also, it appears and disappears. Body also, every name and form also. This is how the world is nothing but a continuous changing process. This is called nature. If you know it, if you realize it, then you cannot give importance to all these changing matters. Vipariman, Vriddhi we have seen. Vipariman, the fourth Urmi, Vipariman. Vipariman means the result of the growth. Something has to happen. You see, everywhere there is a result. That means reaction. Action will have reaction. The same process is known as action and reaction. How? When one changes into the other, the one becomes cause for the other, and other becomes the after what the change becomes the reaction. Action will have reaction, same thing. Cause or effect, same thing. This is called the result. Cause resulted in the effect. This is how the whole world is growing, ever growing. Without result, without effect, there is no cause. And cause is for the effect. Effect becomes cause for another effect. This is how it is linked with each other, and the cycle goes on. And our life also, in this way, it grows and goes on. And then Vipariman, and then Apachya, the decay starts. After some time, the body decays. The growth stops for some time. For some time, there appears a standstill position. That appears, but it is not really there. Nothing can exist without change in this relative world. So, the apachya means slow decay, slow method of the decay. When it grows, then it has to decay, it has to come down. See, everywhere the tree grows, and how long it can grow. Have you seen any tree ever growing? Anybody? Our own life, after say up to 25 or 30, 32, the body grows. And for some time it remains without visible growth. And then it starts after say 45 or 50, it starts slowly decaying. If you climb a mountain, how long you can go on climbing? Our what is his name? Our Colonel Sahib had been to Everest. talk. Huh? His name was हमारे कैप्टन NIM के कर्नल साहब. He climbed the Himalaya top, the Everest, and then what happened? Why did he have to climb still up? Everywhere there is a decay. You have to come down to the source. So our life purpose is to go behind, back to your pavilion, back to pavilion, back to source, back to source. Everybody, every object is bound to come back to the source. Now, where from you have started your journey, present journey, from Ahmedabad, go from Ahmedabad to Delhi to Dehradun, and Dehradun to Uttarakhand, not directly, via many places. And after Uttarakhand, you may go to Gangotri, Gangoma, and you may go to Jamnatri, Badri, Kedar, everything, everywhere you can go. Then what happens? Back to Uttarakhand, okay. Then you are bound to go back to your home, homeward march, back to pavilion. This is how once somebody from German, a great seeker, a very sincere seeker, came from German to meet Ramana Maharshi the Great. He attended his satsang. Satsang means silence. Ramana will be sitting always without talking. People will be sitting around him, and they get their answer in the mind itself. How? They say Raman's miracle, but it is miracle you have to understand. Of course, miracle, because he keeps silence, so you have to keep silence. So what happens? Mind becomes one-pointed. So one-pointed mind, the steady mind, sees everything. That is called dhyan. When you go to that state, you can see everything. A restless mind cannot see anything. For example, when you are driving fast in the road, can you see what is written in the milestone or the roadside signboard? Can you read? If you stand there silently, steadily, then only you can see clearly. That means steadiness is nothing but clarity. So, mind is steady means you get clarity. Your vision is clear. So, no doubts. Clarity means no doubts. So, doubts get solved within itself because of your mind getting steady. But you claim, of course, due to Raman's silence, you have to keep quiet. That has influence over you. So you cannot talk, so your mind naturally gets steady and you get the answer. And that person came, and of course he was so restless, he could not get the answer. What to do? This is the question. What to do? Then after some time, he was bound to speak to Raman. Oh great one, please tell me, advise me, direct me what to do. Then suddenly Maharishi broke his silence and said, go back home. One sentence, go back home. So he couldn't understand. And next day he started from Germany. And he stayed there for some time, went on searching, contemplating. What did I get here? Raman said, go back home. I came home. I see nothing. No clarity, no air, something. What to do? Again he comes to Raman. My dear dead one, I obeyed you, I went back to home, but I got no reply. Please advise me what to do. Then he explained, of course, home is not German. Home is the absolute starting point. That is home for everyone, the source for everyone, the substratum for everyone, the cause for everything. All the causes, that is the causeless cause. There is cause and effect in two. When there is absolute one, there is no cause, no effect, no action, no reaction, no dualistic world. It is absolute steadiness, absolute equilibrium. Samatvam yoga uchyate. This balanced state is known as union, communion. So this is how one day or other the decay starts everywhere. When there is growth, then there is decay. If you have climbed up the highest peak, you have to come down. This is the only result of our journey. Ups and downs, ups and downs. Until you reach your destination, you have to go through all these ups and downs. And opportunity, decay, and then complete destruction. What do you mean by destruction? If construction is there, pairs of opposite, destruction has to be there. You know, I have heard, I have not been there, but I have heard if some new construction is going on somewhere in America by some constructor, some builder, the other builders come there to see how to destroy it. Because one day or other they will destroy it. Some new building comes up. So he sees the loopholes of how to destroy it easily. This is the process there. I have heard. So what happens? The destruction is the must, decay is the must, the growth means a decay and complete destruction. So what happens then? Again it will start constructing. See the Mataji, you have seen our old building is not there anymore. And that is not the one which is destroyed. So many I have made and left. Not one. And this is how we go on building homes, constructing and destroying again and again so many, everyone. So this is how our birth and death goes on in a cycle again and again. And all these 6 types of changes are the visible waves of life are seen in every body. Lord Krishna explains to our Arjuna the incarnation of Nara and Narayan. He says, my dear, you are not subject to all these 6 types of changes. You are eternal being. You have no such changes. You are changeless one. And you are the absolute truth, the supreme self. And don't identify yourself with these bodies. And don't be bewildered. Don't be overwhelmed by seeing your kids and kins standing before you for a warfare and ready to die. And don't be caused foolishly for their death or whatsoever the result may be. Whether one gets conquest or not, that is not the matter. You are worried for their death and you say you are the cause for their death as well as the disorder, the misbalanced law and order in the society, and you become the cause for it. So you don't want to do it, but don't identify yourself with this body. You are not this body, my dear. You are the eternal self. You are devoid of all these 6 types of changes. And then don't say you are the murderer, the killer, or the savior. This is the essence of karma yoga also. This world wherein we live, always we do something and we get the result, action and reaction. And this whole world is subject to trials. The doer, done object, and the process of doing. The subject, object, and the form. By these trials, the whole world is established. This is called relative world. So, if you are the doer, then you have to be the enjoyer of the result. You cannot escape, my dear. Don't be the doer. My dear, don't be the doer, or else you will suffer. You will be the sufferer. You have to enjoy the... Don't be the doer. If you are the body, if you are the senses, then you are the doer. But don't identify yourself with the body. First he said, you are not this body. So you are not the senses. So you are not the changing thought waves, that is mind. So what are you? You are the eternal being residing in this body. You are the inner dweller, indweller of the body. You are the user of the body. Body is an instrument. Just as we use the car or other vehicles for our transportation or something, changing places, or we use it for our pleasure. And then, how long you use? You have come from Rishikesh or Dehradun to Uttarakanchi by the car. Where is the car now here? You have left it outside the gate. So also use this body and leave it aside when it is used. Use and throw. This is our modern world. Use and throw. Don't keep it. This is your office. This is some dirt. You have to use it and throw it. Don't identify yourself with the body. So what happens? What will happen? You are out of this cycle of birth and death, and you will not be the doer. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunehi karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. This nature means a changing phenomena. By changing phenomena, everything, all the actions happen. Action means a change, a movement. Action means a movement. So, the whole world is subject to actions and reactions. Reaction also a movement. Upward, the backward movement, resulting movement. If we have put a seed on the ground, then it will have some effect, it will grow to a tree, and again it will have some more seeds. One becomes many. The whole universe is a process of one becoming many, because it is started with this. And what happens when you are not in the process, you are not the body, you are not the seed, you are not the tree, then what are you? You are the seer, you are the observer of this process. Because you know it, you say the world is there and it is changing. So you are the observer, find out yourself, where do you stand? You are standing on the top, you are looking below all this changing crowd. So don't identify yourself as the doer. If you are the doer, then you have to get the result of your actions, and then you will go on the cycle and you have to suffer forever and ever. So first he gives his identification, his identity, real identity, and then he says, yes. Then he says, don't be the doer, be an observer, so you will not suffer, you will not be the sufferer. We shall discuss tomorrow. Again, till tomorrow, this is enough for today. Abhiman Tyag. So you have to give up doership, give up ego, give up enjoyership, don't amuse, don't go to marketplace and go on seeing what can I buy, what can I eat today. So tomorrow we shall see how to stop this. Hari Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadguru Bhagavan ki jai, Satchidananda Bhagavan ki jai, Sabda Brahma ki jai, Saraswati